first of all, this card, I have here the Six of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles is usually like good karma coming back around, okay? What goes around comes around. The boomerang effect, okay? Things being calibrated, things being evened out. Whoever has been working, you know, really diligently, really hard, is going to be compensated. Whoever has been slipping up, um, manipulating things, manipulating situations, doing very little, trying to get by, you know, like, so I feel like whoever deserves something will get their due justice, okay? And this can be good or this can be bad. Usually this is in a very good context, but I also feel like what goes around comes around, okay? So it's a very immense karmic effect that is kind of like permeating this entire reading. So I feel like you're going to be seeing these things rectified. You're going to be seeing things kind of like put in their place, people put in their place for the month of November, because there's some divine karmic justice happening behind the scenes, right? And it's linked up here with the Emperor. And the Emperor in this situation, in this context, it is somebody that is working behind the scenes, like possibly a person that has passed away, like a beloved, you know, paternal, very strong paternal figure that is working behind the scenes in your favor, okay? But then again, the Emperor is very fair and is very just. So this is an emperor that is not, that doesn't discriminate, okay? He sees the action and he dishes out the rewards according to the actions that he sees. So if you've been doing your due diligence and working hard, you're going to be handsomely rewarded for your hard work and your effort. If you've been shying away from responsibilities, clocking in, you know, late, like coming to work late and then leaving early, I feel like this is all recorded. This is all, you know, written down. This is all documented, and you will be getting your just reward. So the month of November then, you know, with this as a foreshadowing, I feel like it is a month. Well, first of all, I just want to say it is a Mercury retrograde period. Okay. And, Mercury retrograde is going to start tomorrow. Tomorrow's October 31st. And it's going to run through the entire month of November. So for the first 3 months, we're in the midst of the Mercury retrograde period. And the last week then is like a shadow phase, a shadow period, as we transition away from or out of that Mercury retrograde period. And what I have noticed with Mercury retrograde, and I feel like this might be even more so for your sign because it comes up in different ways for all the other signs, is what I've noticed. And I feel like for you, there's a recalibrating, there's a balancing out of karmic energy. Okay. And so that basically means, cover yourself, cover yourself. Whatever you've been doing, if you've been on the up and up, if you've been doing things, you know, ethically and morally, I feel like, you know, you're going to be divinely compensated and divinely, I want to say, recognized for all your achievements. If on the other hand, you've been sneaking around, you've been manipulating, you've been lying, cheating, stealing, or whatever it is that humans do, you're going to get your justice. Okay. So I definitely feel here, this is a month where I think like, things come to light, where whatever was hidden will be found out. Whatever actions that have been, you know, like underhanded dealings, I'm seeing like, I'm seeing a table and I'm seeing hands and like exchanging money, like underhanded dealings or, you know, under the table dealings, things that have not been very ethical or moral. All of these things will be kind of like brought to light. And so choose what side you're on and adjust your actions accordingly. Okay. So that's what I'm sensing here. And, so the first image, like I said, you know, it is not so much about charity. Okay. It's about giving back. It's about giving and receiving. It's about a seamless process where, on some days, so the first scene is with the little boy. He's getting like some food from the vendor because, he seems hungry and she has extra, or she has, so whatever that situation is, there's a transaction. Somebody who has a lot is giving to somebody who doesn't have anything. So it's not an act of charity. I don't want to use the word charity, but I feel like it's a flow in energy. It's an exchange from somebody who has a lot to somebody who doesn't. Okay. And so this exchange with the Six of Pentacles, this is sort of like an exchange in order to help a person, because we understand innately. We've all been there. We've all been through rough times. We've all been through, peaks and valleys, and we understand what it means to fall on hard times. And we can sympathize and empathize with those who have fallen on hard times. And so we do whatever we can to get them back on their feet. Okay. Even if we're not able to like provide them, like a month of salary, even if we're not able to contribute a significant amount of money or resources or food or whatever it is to sustain them for a long period of time, we do whatever we can in our own capacity to make a situation better for another person. So I feel like what it's showing me here is a situation where, being able to slip yourself into somebody else's shoes and to understand what it is that they're dealing with, the struggles that it entails being in their shoes, understanding, I keep hearing like, where people are right now is not indicative of the bad choices or the good decisions that they have made. Where they are right now is a very temporary state of being. And so we need to look at the person as to the person that they are right now. What do they need? What can I do to help the situation and make it better for the other person? So it's not about, casting judgment, because I do feel like in some aspect, Libras, you guys can be very judgmental. And I feel like, you're very keen on making very balanced, very smart decisions. And so if you're dealing with somebody who hasn't had a track record of making solid, grounded, practical, good decisions, you might not want to associate yourself with them. But what I'm feeling with this reading is it's about understanding things a little bit more. Understanding that, whoever you're dealing with, whatever situation they're in, this is very temporary. It's not indicative of, all the past decisions coming back to haunt them. It's just looking at this person the way they are right now. What do they need? What do I have that I can part with to make the situation better for them? And I just want to say, like, once again, it's not about charity. It's not about giving to the underprivileged or, the less fortunate. Okay. Because that shows like power differentials, and that shows like, power dynamics in a way where it can be very condescending. This is just like understanding the human condition. And as one human being to another, what can we do to make the situation right? What can we do to make things better? Okay. And so what I do see is I do feel like you're shifting your framework just a little bit so that you can have this understanding, or that you can see it. And once you see it, you're going to want to do something about it. You're going to want to help. And so the trick is, it's not about enabling or, providing a lump sum of resources in order to help this person, like pave the way for this person. It's about what we can do in this moment in time. It doesn't have to be a huge, huge contribution. It just has to be something that is realistic and practical that we can do in this present second, this moment in time. I hope that makes sense. I feel like, I'm spending 18 minutes just explaining this, and I feel like I don't know why I'm dwelling so much on it, but I feel that's the change in the paradigm shift. Okay. And I do sense as well, there's definitely a divine figure working behind the scenes in order to facilitate this change for you, and in order to right all the things, in order to um, recalibrate whatever situation that has been very, very unbalanced. I feel like things will be, balanced out. If you are the one, if you are the little boy that has fallen on hard times, I do feel there's something behind the scenes that's really going to help you, that's really going to help push you along. And it's like all those peaks and valleys, right? You're going to be operating at your peak. And I do feel like you're being divinely guided along. Something is facilitating the journey, the situation for you, and is alleviating stress, is alleviating anxiety, is alleviating a lot of your worries, okay? So I feel like, wherever you fall on the spectrum, you could be the one physically helping the other person. You're divinely guided to help, and the universe is speaking through you to help the other person. Or you could be the one who is in need of help, and there's a stranger coming into the picture to provide you help that you did not anticipate. Okay, so whatever the situation is, it's divinely guided. It's whoever is doing the helping, they are getting a divine nudge in order to help the other person. And I feel like that's really beautiful, because it basically means, it basically reaffirms that there is a grand design, that there is, there's more to this life, that there's more to what we're doing, that in some way we are all interconnected. Okay, so I don't want to sound too preachy, but I do feel like this is a very spiritual reading for many of you, and maybe you need this information or this message. I hope it resonates with you. So moving on. Okay, so the second image, what I'm really drawn to is that cloud of pollution. Okay, it's like building, 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 and it's stuffy, it's congested, it's uncomfortable, it's hard to breathe in. There might have been an environment that can be very difficult to be in. So I have here the Ten of Swords. I feel for many of you, this might be like a financial situation where everyone is like looking out for themselves. Okay. I feel like opportunists. I feel people who are like, it's like dipping their hands in a pie. So it's like everyone is all out for themselves. Everyone is looking out for number one. Everyone is scrambling. Everyone is trying to see how fast and how much they can get out of a situation. And no one's really, thinking about like, well, what happens to the person that is, that we're taking all of this from? So I feel like there might have been a lot of takers. There might have been a lot of opportunistic people, excuse me. There might have been a situation where, it's very snippy. It's very, calculating. It's very low energy. It can feel very, very stifling. I do sense, I'm hearing this now. You're dealing with very selfish people. You're dealing with very selfish people. And I feel like, the Libran person is all about the balancing act, okay? It's all about fairness. It's all about recalibrating. You feel very off kilter and unbalanced and wobbly in this environment because you're dealing with people who have very low vibrations, who are scrambling, who are in the midst of, who complain that they don't have enough when they have a lot of resources at their disposal. I'm hearing, like selfish. I'm hearing lazy. Okay, so excuse me. I feel like you're dealing with people like this, and they make excuses. Oh, I don't want to do that. I'm going to call in sick. I don't want to be at work and have to handle that difficult case, so I'm going to call in sick. And little did they know that, if they call in sick, that case has to be resolved, and you're going to have to send it off to somebody else, right? That's not fair. And so fairness and balance and justice is kind of like your MO. That's what you thrive on. And that brings you, comfort and stability. And that's how you feel everybody should behave. But you're dealing with low vibrational people who are all about themselves, what they can get out of a situation, how they can evade responsibility, how they can, one up on another person. And so it's an environment where, like I said, that dust cloud, that the pollution, the smog, the congestion, all of it builds up and builds up and builds up. And then it creates like a major rainstorm, really heavy torrential, like a monsoon coming through to kind of like stamp everything back down to the ground. Okay. Put things in their place, put people in their place. I do feel as if, for some of you Libras, your temper might come into the picture. Okay. You're like splicing through all this. Okay. This is a sword energy. Very well could be your energy. It's sort of like, all this bickering, this back and forth, this, nonsense communication, this selfishness, this, opportunistic, all of these opportunistic like people and situations. I feel like you're coming in here with one giant sword and putting people in their place. Okay. So I feel like, that rainstorm stamping down the pollution, all the dust, all the debris in the air and just bringing it back down to earth. It's a very sobering moment for the people, especially if they have not seen your wrath, if they have never seen you off kilter and angry and upset. They're going to get the surprise of their life, because I feel like you're coming in very powerful, splicing through all these excuses. And the way that you do it is delicate, but also very forceful. Okay. And I guess that's like an oxymoron. Like, how could something be so delicate, but also so forceful? So what I feel is you're relying heavily on your wit in order to, strike a chord with a group of people. And I do feel like it is a group of people that you're dealing with who have been behaving this way. You're setting people in their place. You're not tolerating excuses. And I feel like in the greater scheme of things, you're just like, you guys are very, very, very balanced. You guys are like very non-confrontational. Okay, conflict avoidant. I would say in a lot of situations. It's only when you get in like interpersonal relationships that you really are very vocal about what you want, and you're not conflict avoidant. But I feel like, in a work environment, in a social setting, in a public in a public environment too, you're very peaceful, and you're kind of like the voice of reason. But I feel that the voice of reason is falling on deaf ears, because you're dealing with people who purposely evade responsibility, who are not operating at their best. And they don't listen to reason. They don't respond to logic. They're all about themselves. And so this splicing through all that BS needs to happen, because I feel like enough's enough. Okay. So there's like something imploding, something coming down, like the wrath of the Libra person is coming down and stomping the situation to the ground, stomping, and then, stomping your heels, and then really putting out a fire, really putting people in their place, really showing them that you're not playing around. Okay. If you are dealing with a Sagittarius, definitely look at that video, because I'm getting a similar energy where it's like somebody is like getting a taste of the true Sagittarius fury. Okay, Sagittarius is fire. It's all about like ethics and morality, and it's like a hot iron. Okay, it strikes and it burns, and it like will kind of like cut through anything standing in its way. And I feel like with your energy is very similar. A group of people will be seeing your wrath for the very first time. And I feel like it's going to set them in their place. And they're going to remember this moment. Okay. So this is one way in which the energy from Mercury retrograde can be very productive, because I feel like things come to light, and I do sense that like people will be called out for what they are, pretty much, okay? So I feel like you're setting things right, okay? And you're doing this in the spirit of kindness, or I'm sorry, in the spirit of fairness, not kindness, fairness. It could also be kindness, because you're just like, that's not fair for this other group of people who have been really diligently working, doing their work, minding their own business, not causing problems, helping one another. And then this group of people who are just like jerks. So you might be thinking, I'm doing this out of kindness so that it doesn't happen again. Or you can be doing this, just in the spirit of balance, fairness, justice. So you're dishing out karmic justice too, I feel, with a group of people, okay? And I do feel like it's a group. I don't feel like this is a one-on-one interpersonal, relationship type of an environment. I feel like this is a group of people that are childish and they need to be set in their place. You could also be dealing with children. You could also be dealing with, a group of people that you're mentoring, coaching, teaching, whatever the environment is. It's sort of like putting people in their place, and they will see and feel your raw power. Okay. So I have here the Knight of Pentacles, and the words that I got is like stomping all that pollution and all those debris back to the ground, okay? And the elephant, they have really, really strong legs, right? Like they stomp on the ground when they walk through. So I feel like there is a situation here where you're literally stomping on the ground, packing things down, okay? Putting things down. Doing so in a very purposeful, noisy, and just like no nonsense type of a manner. Okay. And this is great. And then with this card, I'm also hearing that sound, that trumpeting sounds that the elephant makes. And it can be very loud, but it's not a high shriek. Okay. It's a lower octave, but it gets its point across, right? Like it's very undeniable. Like once you hear it, you're like, oh, that's the trumpeting of the elephant. And so I feel like you're making your power known, okay? And so I feel like there's a lot of imagery here about, noise and calamity, and just, being very firm and very strong, very commanding, and just being very, very sure as to what you're stomping, where you're stomping, and the noise that comes along with it. So this is typically not a Libran